Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away.
Hi, and welcome to day 14 of the Comfy Red Couches Vlogmas. My name is Tracy, and today I'm going to do a little bit more of a traditional podcast but Vlogmas style because I've got a finished object to share with you, which I'm so excited. I got some brown paper packages in the mail today, and I've got a couple of things that I'm working on that I thought I would chat with you about. So first off, let's talk about the finished object. These gorgeous socks are called Twinkling Trees, and this is a new pattern by Daniel Gorge, who is Little Bobbins, and this is her Christmas Eve cast-on pattern, and I am absolutely loving it. I shared the yarn with you that I used. I had put it in my Christmas Eve cast-on bag from 3 years ago. This was a kit that Danny and of Little Bobbins, Jane of Hedgerow Yarns, and Helen of Curious Handmade put together. So Danny made the bag, the yarn for the Vintage Fairy Lights socks, the pattern by Helen. The yarn was by Jane of Hedgerow Yarns. And yes, I have this gorgeous, gorgeous bag. And this winter, it's not quite winter yet, this fall, my lovely skein of Viola Black Lodge in the sock, and this gorgeous sparkly skein of fur from Norwich yarns. These were living in this gorgeous, gorgeous bag. And what they made were these fun socks. So let's start at the top. There is a twisted rib cuff, and then there are these gorgeous little baubles, and this is a sparkling yarn. You can see it on the skein. I don't know that you can see, a little bit in the sock. And then it goes into the tree pattern. If you are going to knit this pattern, please, please, please make sure you have, if you're using a 2.25, if that's your normal gauge, have a 2.5 millimeter needle as well for this tree section, because I found I needed it, and I know it was recommended by Danny, and I am so glad I used the two different sizes. So 2.25 up until the end of the baubles, 2.5 millimeter for the trees, which are just so adorable. And then we go back to 2.25 for me at least, and I did just plain stocking stitch, which was a wonderful, relaxing knit. There is a slip stitch heel. Look at that sparkle there. Now, I decided to use the contrast color because I was loving this green, and I just thought these are Christmas socks. I want to make them as Christmassy as possible. And although the pattern doesn't call to change colors, I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I did a contrasting heel and toe. And then it's just straight, smooth sailing down the foot. And then I did a slip stitch toe because it looked very similar to the way the heel started. And I had just finished the Red Robin socks, and I really loved how the slip stitch toe looked. So I thought I just wanted to bring that into the Twinkling Trees sock. And voila, a beautiful pair of Christmassy socks, which, oh my goodness, I don't know how anyone could resist casting these on. So a little bit of interest here for sure, and then just smooth sailing, which makes for a perfect knit. And oh, how my colors go together. I love, love, love these. So Danny did a fantastic job with this pattern. And oh, I loved knitting them. They were just, it was just so relaxing, a very intuitive pattern, and just fun, especially with that bit of sparkle in there. So these are going to be my Christmas socks. This year for the Christmas Eve cast on, I am not going to cast on a pair of socks because I've already done it. I'm going to cast on the Sky Map wrap shawl, and that was what I decided I was going to do a while back. And I'm also going to work on a couple of other things, but that will be my Christmas Eve cast on, is the Sky Map. But in the meantime, I have a lovely pair of Christmas socks to put in my Operation Sock drawer. I have a kitty here, I have a dog over here, and I have gorgeous socks. Okay, are you going to come up for a little bit, Scout? Come on up. Oh, we get the hissing happening from Tasha and Scout. They don't get along well. You don't. So let's move on to what I am working on now, and I'm almost done. This is what is going to be, get out of my brown paper packages, Scout, and don't steal my tea. This is going to be the gift for my son's teacher, and this is the Planting Seeds shawl. I had pulled it all back so that I could re-knit it according to the pattern, although last night I finished the second last row and ran out of the Wee Rainbow on a Vespa colorway, but that's okay because I kind of anticipated that I might. And what I am going to do is I'm going to do the last row, and hey, get back here. She's stealing yarn. Don't do that. Don't take those, silly puppy. She's stealing yarn wrappers. When I was knitting this, I had anticipated that I might run out of Wee Rainbow on a Vespa. So I did some thinking ahead. And what I'm going to do, I'm down to the last row and then bind off, and it's a picot bind off. I have lots of hotness left, and I have lots of Cassiopeia left. And I think the Cassiopeia is a little bit more demure and probably a little bit more along the lines of my son's teacher's personality. So what I am going to do is do the last row in Cassiopeia and then do the picot bind off in the Cassiopeia as well. If I feel that I need a little bit more, I may add an extra 2 rows, but I've got enough yarn that I could do that. And I think it'll make a nice little bit of interest on the edging to have that connection back to the gray. So the gray was up here, and then of course we went into the hotness. I've got this the wrong way for you. The gray is up here, we went into the hotness, and then into Wee Rainbow, and then of course we've got that bright hot spot shot of pink, and then the gorgeous turquoise with all those little rainbows, which make me so happy every time I get to them. And then I think that little tie-in of the gray from the top will be a nice sort of tie back, and I think it'll look really great. So I will either do 1 row and then picots, or 3 rows and then picots. We shall see. But my plan is to get this bound off tonight. I'm going to soak it, and then tomorrow I'm going to block it so that I can have it ready for gifting next week. Right, Scout? So that is one thing that I am working on. The next thing that I have done is, and I put it over here, I have printed up a copy of Dust of Snow. And this looks a little bit different than your Dust of Snow wrap if you have knit it. And that's because I'm using my test version. And the reason I'm using my test version is because my test version has different color coding happening throughout. And I just liked all the different colors of the pattern. So rather than having 2 different colors, and this is not printer friendly, while the version that Helen released to everybody else is a little bit more printer friendly. I just wanted the color because it sort of gets me through a little bit easier. So I did print up my test version. It is, I think, pretty much the same as the one that's out there. There weren't too many changes. And because I've already knit it once, I know what they are. I might actually even add a little bit more. And I am going to be using this bag for my dust of snow. I'm going to wind up some gorgeous Shibui silk cloud today. And I'm going to start hand winding. I think I'm going to hand wind the minis from my Norwich Gorge Advent. While I am talking about the Advent, let's get to today's Advent. I did break into the tea a little bit early, but I have not opened my yarn for the day. I have finished my So Sweet Violet Advent. It was a 12-day Advent calendar, and some people decided to do a gift every other day. I just went 1 through 12 because math is not my specialty, and I didn't want to have to try and do math. So even though it's just multiplying by 2. Anyway, I am going to open this in a moment. But first, let me go into spoiler alert so that if you don't want to know what the Bird and Blend teas are, you can run out of the room. If you don't want to see day 14 of the Norwich Gorge calendar, again, run out of the room. So the Advent for the regular tea calendar was a bag of tea today, and it is blue raspberry. And the matcha Advent of the day is ultraviolet matcha in a tin. And I am so happy when I get one of the tins rather than one of the pouches, because the tins hold about 3 servings, which means I get more matcha, which is always a wonderful thing. Last night, I mixed a half teaspoon of the kale chili matcha, chili kale matcha, one or the other, with some water, and then I added a little bit of cream foam, and it was really, really good. So I think I'm going to have a bit more of that tonight, though, the chili kale, because I'm getting tickled again. Now we get to today's yarn Advent, and I was surprised by yesterday's. I thought yesterday's would be going into the yellow, but it was another green. I'm thinking that we're going to be heading into the yellow, but I could be very surprised. And we're going into a soft yellowy, soft green color. So I'm thinking tomorrow will be maybe a creamy yellow. So that is today's Norwich Gorge Advent. So when I start my dust of snow wrap, which I put the pattern right here, I will be using some white with black specks going into the gray, then into the blue, into the green, and then looks like we're going to be heading into the yellow. I am going to start that tonight, the 14th of December, and I worked out that that should bring me to the Orthodox Christmas, so January 6th or thereabouts, if I were to do 1 mini skein a day. I am thinking of adding 1 extra repeat to make my dust of snow a little bit wider, but we will see if I do that. Next thing I want to share with you, I'll put the tea bag over there, came in the mail today, and I got a lovely little package from Tracy of Norwich Gorge Yarns, and I ordered some sock blanks. And this is what Scout tried to steal earlier, were the colorways. So I ordered a 72 stitch sock blank in the colorway Spruced Up, and I ordered a 64-inch sock blank in the colorway Jingle Juice. I've maybe been drinking too much Jingle Juice. So Jingle Juice. And this is Spruced Up. I wanted to see the difference in the sizes, which is why I ordered 2 different sizes, plus Isaac, I'm going to be making, he chose this colorway. This is Spruced Up, and it is a very long sock tube. So I'm thinking I should be able to make a pair of socks for Isaac, especially if I use, and I'm going to have to use a different color for the toes and the heels, and then I want to put the, oh, I love it with the pink, and then I'm going to need to put some cuffs on. So of course I'm going to be using some highlighting minis, and so I might be able to get a little bit more, maybe 2 small socks and then 2 socks for Isaac. And that is a 72 stitch count on Tracy's sock machine. And she's got the Erlbacher Gerhardt Speedster. And Jingle Juice, which is a colorway that I've also got on yarn. I have a sock blank for me. And this is the 64 stitch count. And I'm interested to see if a 64-inch fits Isaac's foot, because I don't know, maybe I might need to know if a 64-inch cylinder would fit Isaac's feet. What might that mean? Anyway, this is what was in the mail today, and that was a nice fun package to come home to. I'm going to make these for myself. I'm going to make Isaac some Christmas socks, and I've got some knitting there to do, along with my dust of snow wrap, and along with the rest of the planting seed shawl. So there's my weekend plans, all there. Anyway, I think that is all. I'm just feeling so scattered today. If we're going with the idea of a mini podcast, let's do a little tiny bits and bobs segment for you, because I have a silly story to tell you. The past week, we were listening to the audiobook of Judy Blume's Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. And that's where you meet Fudgy. And Fudgy, he is a naughty little boy. And poor Peter, he has to deal with a very, very naughty little brother. And poor Isaac has had to deal with a very, very naughty little brother this week. On Wednesday night, Nathaniel came downstairs after having his bath, and I said to him, "Oh, Nathaniel, you need a haircut. We need to take you for a haircut." Nathaniel walked over to the kitchen, grabbed the kitchen scissors, took his hair, and chopped a big chunk of hair right there. And of course, we said, "What are you doing?" And this is something that Fudge did. He also gave himself a haircut. So I should just be happy that Nathaniel didn't eat a turtle. So luckily, my parents were able to take Nathaniel for a haircut after school yesterday. He had a show yesterday afternoon, and my parents, they went to see it. They took him out to get his hair cut yesterday. I unfortunately was sick, so I didn't get to go to the showing last night. But yes, Nathaniel chopped his hair, just like Fudgy. What a silly, silly little brother Isaac has. Anyway, I think that's all I am going to share today on Vlogmas, December 14th. Tomorrow, I am hoping to maybe have a little bit of a block party, and I will see you then. I hope that you've had a great day, evening, whatever time it is for you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry